to do a cover of Playboy was huge.
Hugh Hefner was the Bible for most men at that time. It was kind of the James Bond / Playboy / connoisseur. It was this whole image that he was selling.
For 60 years, Hugh Hefner was the Pied Piper of soft porn, selling a dream of fame, glamour, and sex with a magazine empire that he created.
He wanted to see himself as a giant figure on the American stage.
A string of Playboy clubs for members only promised a taste of Hefner's high life, served by unique, untouchable bunny girls.
Okay, low Carrie. Faster, faster, faster. High Carrie.
When I put on the costume, it was showtime.
Oh my God, it was the best job I've ever had.
Anybody tried to get fresh, touch your tail. No, 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 you don't do that.
Playboy was a cultural game changer, the original lads mag, and Hefner promised the world to the women he called playmates, who stripped naked for its pages, inviting them to his fabled LA mansion, a Shangri-La of decadence, a playground for VIPs.
It was young, beautiful women from all over the world.
It seemed so beautiful and so glamorous and so wonderful. Every girl that went in there probably felt the same excitement.
It was just otherworldly. It took your breath away. You couldn't help but want to stay.
A playboy to his last gasp, when Hefner dies in 2017, this man, who had 3 wives and countless lovers, pays a small fortune for a burial crypt next to a woman he never met. His ultimate fantasy.
I've been to Marilyn Monroe's grave. I don't think Marilyn's spirit would be very happy laying next to Hugh Hefner. No, I don't.
He had an obsession with her, that look. That is the look that he went for in women.
His empire enraged and enchanted in equal measure. And at the center, Hefner lived the life of a bachelor. Revered by some, reviled by others.
On the outside, it was just fantastically beautiful, but underneath, it was really ugly.
I don't think anybody was safe there.
All these men were all circling them like sharks.
There were some sordid stories going around at that time.
Since Hefner's death, a code of silence has lifted, revealing the secrets of the Playboy Mansion.
He did things to women without their permission.
We'd hear these horrible screams.
Once they'd been used, then they were out.
He's dead, and now we hear these horrifying stories.
This is the story of the rise and fall of Hugh Hefner's Playboy.
Men grow cold as girls grow old, and we all lose our charms in the end. But square cut or pear shape, these rocks don't lose their shape. Diamonds are a girl's best friend.
It's the summer of 1953, when Marilyn Monroe delivers this career-defining anthem about how to make money by trusting diamonds and not men. Magnetic and captivating, she plays a showgirl who's nearly undone by a compromising photo. Ironically, in real life, a man is hatching a plan to use photos Marilyn would rather forget and pay her nothing for them. A man who, like Marilyn's warning, is attracted only to the young. As Marilyn hits the big time, Hugh Hefner is a 27-year-old unknown wannabe, a man desperate to escape a humdrum life in his native Chicago.
He'd had an utterly conventional life. I mean, conventional upbringing, married young, had a baby, ordinary job. I think he felt very trapped by his domestic circumstances. I remember he said once, "What about living?" What he wanted above all was to be a publisher, and a magazine publisher. I don't think he had any intention of producing what Playboy eventually became, but the significant fact of getting the nude photographs of Marilyn Monroe that sent him on that path.
Nude photos of Marilyn Monroe have been in circulation under the radar for years, posed for when she was starting out. The young Hugh Hefner is the chancer who will take them to the masses.
He was able to buy the rights to the nude shots of Marilyn Monroe because no respectable magazine would ever consider publishing a nude photograph. Nude photographs in those days were reserved for calendars in garage walls and places like that.
Those pictures that she did, those nudes, because she couldn't eat, he bought those pictures from that photographer and then put them in Playboy. So she didn't get paid. It looked like she'd done it for Playboy. There was no one there protecting her.
She had absolutely no say in it. Marilyn never met him. He had no relationship with her.
Launched from his kitchen table in Chicago, he doesn't put his own name on this first edition, in case it fails. He convinces newsstands to stock it and publishes, just as Marilyn is going meteoric.
I think that she was probably appalled that he used images of her that he didn't have her permission to use. He did things to women without their permission.
She later reveals she had to buy a copy herself to see how Hefner had used her pictures. She's a prototype of so many playmates to come. Young women escaping broken homes and small towns across America, looking to be someone. The first edition sold out. The age of Playboy had begun. Fast forward to the 1970s. Playboy magazine is now an institution, and Hefner is a millionaire many times over.
He started that magazine from scratch and very quickly built it into an empire worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
By then, he had left his wife and reinvented himself as a pajama-clad bachelor with mansions in both Chicago and Los Angeles.
I spent a lot of time between, say, 71 and 74 in the Chicago mansion. You were in a fantasy land. It just wasn't the real world.
It is literally whatever time of day I want it to be. And my day begins usually in the middle to late afternoon, then goes on through the night.
He would drink Pepsi-Cola and he would smoke joints.
And this was just the beginning. He opened his luxurious new homes to specially selected women.
30 or 40 playmates living up in the top floor of the building. A lot of celebrities hanging around. It was all based on the assumption that women are playthings and nothing more. And their value was based on how pretty they were, how sexy they were, how willing they were to sleep with Hef's friends and celebrities.
He was an emperor of soft porn, building a mythic empire with mansions on the ground.
Fantastic. Oh, that was a great one.
And a castle in the air.
Hefner was shuttling between the Los Angeles mansion and the Chicago mansion in his own private jet, the Big Bunny. And that was madly extravagant. I mean, madness. It was allegedly a corporate plane, but of the 119 flights it took, Hefner was not on 3 of them. So it was actually Hefner's personal extravagance.
By the mid-70s, Playboy's circulation was 5.6 million. The magazine selling a lifestyle that Hefner embodied, a philosophy that sex for pleasure alone was good.
A quite unexpected result of the tremendous success that we had was that I was then able to begin living the life myself that the magazine was talking about.
There were tens of millions of men in particular who that was their fantasy, to think that they would ever have a chance to spend the night at the Playboy mansion.
And for the readers, he created a string of Playboy clubs, where for the price of a membership, they could be served by women who were a different fantasy entirely. The bunny girl waitresses who served drinks in clubs multiplying all over the world.
I worked at the LA Club from 1967 to 1979. Putting on your makeup, putting on your costume, brushing your tail. And you had to get them nice and soft, and you spray them with hairspray. And then you would go down to the club, and the ambiance, the lighting, the music, it was just magical. And then you would serve. Good evening, I'm Bunny Jackie. I'll be taking your order. Playboy bunnies, we are waitresses in high heel shoes and tight corsets. We have sore arms and your feet hurt. So you take club soda, pour it in your shoes, and you walk around with slushy feet, but your feet feels cool.
Hello, I'm Kathy.
Kathy Green from the San Francisco Club. Ladies and gentlemen, the 19 bunnies of the year.
Bunnies were the it girls of the 70s, always in the spotlight. The club survived the early backlash, shrugging off an expose by feminist writer Gloria Steinem, who went undercover as a bunny and reported them overworked and exploited.
There was all of this social upheaval. There was the black movement, there was the women's movement. The women were protesting us, you were being used. No, I'm not. I choose to be here. I'm a waitress. I have that power to be able to present yourself in a way, to be able to earn your own money. And for that time, it was very good money. I was able to have that independence that I didn't have to depend upon sugar daddies or anything like that. No. And that was offered. You have people offer, you know, I'll buy you this, I'll buy you a car. I can buy my own car.
They wanted to be somebody, and I think that was part of the allure for bunnies at the club. They had a job with benefits, and for a woman at that time and that point in history, you really only had 3 fields. You were either a secretary, a teacher, or a nurse. That was the professions.
They wanted to touch the tail. Don't touch the tail. You know, you don't touch any part of me. You don't touch.
As fast as the Playboy clubs were making money, Hugh Hefner was spending it.
The executives traveled first class. They ordered lobster and whenever they wanted it. Just crazy expenditure. And the cost of running the 2 mansions, mad extravagance.
We were all living off a Hefner. As you went through the kitchen when you left, we all would take items out, jars of caviar, lobster tails, bottles of wine, even his pajamas. If anything happened to his silk pajamas, he would throw them in the trash. And so we would fish them out of the trash, take them home, have them dry cleaned, and wear them.
The Playboy founder was burning through his fortune. Luckily for him, one club would become a gold mine. Not in the USA, but in swinging London.
The world's most expensive private jet brings a modern playboy of the Western world on his first visit to London.
In 1966, Hugh Hefner exports the bunny girl to Britain and opens a club in London.
The formula of pay, look, but don't touch has made a fortune for the founder of the Playboy empire, Hugh Hefner.
He'd broken free from his Methodist background to become a major player in the 60s sexual revolution.
Hefner and his brother, his younger brother, were brought up in a strict religious household and given very little freedom at all.
But by the 60s, they were both off the leash. Hefner decreed that the British bunnies be trained according to his 26-page manual of rules. His brother Keith dreamt up the strict training regimes, right down to how to carry a tray.
Okay, faster, faster, faster. High carry. Reverse.
The London club was to be managed by Hefner's swashbuckling sidekick and trusted lieutenant from Chicago, Victor Lowndes.
Victor and Hefner were longtime friends from way back. They were both men about town in Chicago. Victor really was the man about town. He was the guy that was always going to parties, always had girls on the run.
He had the money, he had the looks, he was confident, he could charm the leaves off the trees.
Although Hefner would never have admitted it, Victor really was the playboy.
Lowndes was Hefner's wingman through the early days, helping him dream up the Playboy philosophy, and his #1 fan.
He's brilliant, a genius.
Genius is a kind of a funny word. I suppose by definition, I consider myself one.
Hefner's audition methods for bunnies were embraced in the UK with the same high standards. A grueling process.
Okay, and then round again. Okay, would you like to come sit down again? You like dozy-looking birds.
Thank you very much.
The Playboy empire offered cash incentives to anyone signing up young women to the fold. And bunnies were found all over the UK.
I was working for a man, and he was a bit of an entrepreneur in Liverpool, and he was the one that saw this advert for bunnies, and they were offering a £40 finder's fee if they lasted 4 months, I think it was, because they used to go through a lot of them, trust me. You know, if you didn't pass your training, which was extremely rigorous, or if you didn't quite have the bunny image.
Now I'm going to show you what a bunny looks like. She's young, she's fresh, she has a pleasant personality, a fabulous figure, and she works like a Trojan.
From the start, it was the place to be and be seen. Director Roman Polanski and Sharon Tate married here in '68, just before tragedy struck for them.
It was the 60s and 70s, you know, it was all happening, you know, swinging London. We were all part of it.
I saw somebody walking through the door that was just a shadow with light shining behind them. And I thought, well, who's that? I recognised that walk. It was Robert Mitchum. I think the best couple was Keith Moon and Ringo Starr coming to the discotheque, because the two of them were like, you know, drumming all the time. The table was bouncing, you put a drink on it, you had to snatch it off, it was just about to disappear into somebody's lap.
The bunnies must never look less than perfect. Held over the women was the threat of being axed, known in the club as the bunny purge.
They'd have that from time to time. Don't let people over-exaggerate, you know, it sounds like a bloodbath. It wasn't, you know, if somebody had got a bit too fat, you'd get suspended until you lost the weight. And if you didn't lose the weight, sorry, you know, we haven't got a job for you anymore.
Any married bunnies have to take off their wedding rings.
I can't believe I was ever that thin. As you can see, the bones up the front. And this was the secret ingredient, if you like, where they cut the waist. It was laced so you could splay it or tighten it so that you weren't showing anything that shouldn't be showing. We've got the cuffs, and when you put them on, you had to make sure that the bunnies were facing each other, or kissing, as they said. And these are the ears, and then the headband would literally go on where your own ears are, like a saw. Good evening, I'm your bunny Barbara.
For some, it was the bunny costume that was Hugh Hefner's most contentious creation. He was famously confronted on the Dick Cavett show when Susan Brownmiller accused him of sexist double standards.
The day that you are willing to come out here with a cottontail attached to your rear end. He has made the degradation of women a condition of employment in the Playboy clubs around the country. They have to get into these ridiculous costumes which deny their humanity and their femininity. You make them look like animals. Yes, women aren't bunnies. They're not rabbits. They're human beings.
The bunny was about to play a key role in shoring up an empire under pressure.
At a time when the Playboy organization itself in the United States was facing major difficulties, the circulation of the magazine was falling, the competition was increasing, it was Victor who realized that the Playboy Club also needed to be a casino in order to make real money.
In 1975, feeling the pinch, Hefner sold off his big bunny jet and moved full-time to live the good life at his mansion in Los Angeles. Left to his own devices, Victor Lowndes turbocharged London, cashing in on a new age of oil millionaires.
The money that was coming in, being generated by the casinos in London, was supporting the entire company. The whole company was being supported by the income from gaming in London.
The focus was firmly on gaming and recruiting glamorous bunny croupiers.
I was working as a secretary or PA at that time, as was my friend. And she went for an interview and she got in, and then she took me along and she got £25 for introducing me, which in 74 or whatever was an awful lot of money.
I was working for Barclays Bank. 2 girls came over from the bunny club and said, our general manager's been over here and he really thinks that you'd make a great bunny. And I said, oh, really? Okay. Of course, I went and told my mum. Oh, she went absolutely berserk. Oh, she really didn't like the idea because, you know, they didn't wear any clothes, according to my mum.
They gave me a maths test and I did quite well. And they said, you know, do you want to be a croupier? And of course I said, what is a croupier? You know, so because I hadn't got a clue. And they explained and I thought, I might like that.
Oh my God, it was the best job I've ever had. In all the years of working, it was fun. It really was fun. Is to rock up with no makeup on, look like death warmed up, and then by the time you've sort of done a quick turn in the bunny room, put your costume on, put your lipstick on and makeup and go to the bunny room and see Bunny Mum before you went on the floor. You had to show her your nails and turn around and she made sure your bunny tail was in place.
But today it's a rehearsal room as fledgling bunnies learn their drill and practice the dip, which is their ceremonial way of serving drinks, all under the practiced eye of their boss, the bunny mother.
The camaraderie between all the girls, we were all friends.
It just felt like a really, really lovely, warm family environment.
The bunny croupiers were a big attraction. Extraordinary sums were spent. I mean, millions and millions of pounds were lost and very occasionally won.
One night, this gentleman was winning a lot of money, you know, like £500,000 or something like that. I had to give the dealer a break. So I took over from her. And I think by the time she came back from her break, I'd taken every single penny off him, plus another $500,000.
Remember, this was in the 70s. It was in the days of the oil millionaires, you know. I remember one man actually saying to me, because he seemed to be on a losing streak, he was earning more every minute than he could possibly lose, which seemed amazing, you know. His oil well was obviously gushing.
By 1978, Playboy London was the largest casino in Europe, bankrolling Hefner's Playtime. But no one got to gamble unless their permits were in order, no matter how big the VIP.
Muhammad Ali, oh God, when he walked through the door, oh my God. Sadly, you know, he couldn't come into the club because he hadn't signed the 48-hour rule. You had to sign a piece of paper to say that you were giving notice to actually go and gamble. And then you had to check that time when they came back 48 hours later. And you could lose the casino licence if that wasn't adhered to.
So the legendary champ was turned away.
But, you know, that wasn't really of my concern at that time. I was just so pleased to see him.
I think people thought you were glamorous. You know, I think people thought, oh, she's a bunny, you know, type thing. So you felt a little bit special.
It's very empowering. I was earning more than my father. He was a chief superintendent in the police force.
Bunnies and customers were both bound by a strict Playboy code when it came to relationships.
She's trained to perfection, meticulously groomed, and the rules are strict. No dating customers, for instance, is permitted on pain of dismissal.
Anybody tried to get fresh, do that again, and I will have your membership cancelled, sir.
There were rules. You couldn't be touched by any of the customers.
If anybody tried to push their luck, they found out the hard way and were escorted off the premises. Card destroyed. End of.
But in Los Angeles, for playmates at the Playboy Mansion, there's a different set of rules entirely.
With most of the girls feeling, you know, like he was more of a grandfather type man, very safe, cared about our well-being, but let me tell you, that was not in any way, shape, or form the truth.
It's the late 70s, and Hugh Hefner's Playboy Mansion in Los Angeles is becoming the stuff of legend. It's party central, by strict invitation only.
When I went to the mansion the first time, it was just beautiful. You know, they had a private zoo and the grounds were just immaculately kept and it was gorgeous.
Maybe on another planet. It's a little bit of a Shangri-La for us.
I was there from 1975 to 2005. Early on, it was like the Wild West there. The sources of the animals in many cases were dubious. He wants a llama. He wants a swan on the swimming pool. He wants parrots that are bright and beautiful and big and say cute things. He deals with images. And the zoo reinforces the exotic nature of the Playboy mansion. This is what you can do if you're rich and successful.
Everybody knew about the mansion. It was like the biggest curiosity in Los Angeles at that time.
I never was much of a bird fancier before. This guy is like a dog.
It was all set up to seduce men and women, and it took your breath away to be there. You know, there were so many people that would try to get in the mansion. There was guards all around. People would jump over the wall.
By now, Hugh Hefner's lost the last of his 60s cultural suave and flaunts the antics taking place in his adult playground, filmed for primetime American television in '79. He's the kingpin of a TV extravaganza made at his mansion and called Playboy's Roller Disco Pajama Party.
It's interesting, the progression from that Playboy After Dark to this weird special where you can tell he's got a sense of power, you know, now. He's obviously literally in charge of this whole empire and loving the fact there's a 2-hour TV special, a kind of weird mainstream TV special, attempt to incorporate, you know, the tawdry elements of what Playboy really is into this kind of mainstream celebration. It's just weird and odd. You know, on the one hand, it's a party, but then there's like long sequences of scantily clad women roller discoing, and it's just kind of weird and freaky and awkward to watch. And you've got a really weird look at a shoot of a Playboy centerfold, which is just horrible to see, really. There's a weird moment where you do see the photographer suddenly, and it's not a pleasant sight. The whole show is quite extraordinary.
Because that's all Mr. Hefner sold was images. The magazine is images. Everything is image. In fact, Mr. Hefner once said, if we don't have a photograph of it, it didn't happen. And that's the way he looked at things. And he had photographers everywhere.
While it looked as though Hefner was running a freedom-loving home, it was also a mansion of rules and shrouded in secrecy.
We knew there were cameras everywhere and listening devices, microphones everywhere. Off of Hefner's bedroom was a panel of television screens, small ones, that monitored the entire mansion. I worked for Hugh Hefner at the Holmby Hills mansion for 4 years. Hefner was very demanding and exacting. You had to keep quiet. You had to sign papers. You weren't going to come out and say anything. So I had to study this manual and how to take care of Hefner, what he ate, how to fix his bedroom.
By now, Playboy was 25 years old, and debate on whether Hefner was a sexual liberator or an exploiter continued. He was condemned for publishing naked shots of a 10-year-old Brooke Shields, pictures too graphic to show. And a finder's fee for anyone who successfully talent-spotted potential playmates ensured a steady supply of young women flown in from all over America.
I was really surprised at how many fathers would send these amateurish nude photos of their daughters. A lot of boyfriends, stepfathers sent them in. Hefner would go through them, pick out the girls that he thought would be good for the magazine, and they would be met at LAX with a limousine to take them up to the mansion.
Young girls that come into that scene, they're, you know, average 18 years old. They have the stars in their eyes, but I don't think that they really put much thought into what would happen once they got there.
It was part of the deal that women who posed for the magazine stay at the mansion, now in full sexual swing.
Nudity was encouraged, you know, in the Woo Grotto, so-called Woo Grotto, and in the swimming pool and all around the grounds. You know, girls, particularly girls, were encouraged to walk around naked. Group sex was, you know, just happened as routine. Hefner told me quite straightforwardly that he was not sexually attracted to women who have an intellectual capacity or indeed were willing to argue about anything to him. He just wasn't interested. He only liked very young, nubile, innocent girls. You know, often they would have been virgins before they arrived in Playboy.
When Russell Miller went to the Playboy mansion to profile the publisher, Hefner explained why he favored sleeping with women who were usually no older than 21.
He said this, "I simply find younger women more attractive physically than women of my own age. There's also something nice about an affair that's the first serious relationship in a girl's life." That was so typical of Hefner. What about the rest of the life? You know, it's so utterly selfish.
Women were often drawn in by a promise of future stardom. And in 1979 came the playmate most likely to succeed in that. Dorothy Stratton had star quality and was persuaded to pose naked for Playboy by her abusive boyfriend, Paul Snider.
Dorothy Stratton was the only playmate of all of them all that actually did seem like she might become a movie star. Hefner really was smitten by Dorothy Stratton. She was Playmate of the Year that year.
She wasn't Hefner's girlfriend. She didn't want to be his girlfriend. She didn't really enjoy any of what went on in the mansion, but she played the game.
And indeed, Dorothy Stratton did get a part in the movie. She was the first one. And the movie was being directed by Peter Bogdanovich, who was very smitten by Dorothy.
They all wanted a piece of her. It was like a love triangle with 3 guys vying for her, and she was a victim.
Dorothy Stratton made a bid for freedom from both Playboy and her controlling partner, Paul Snider, but he turned to murder.
She told Snider that she wanted to end the relationship, and she was in love with Bogdanovich and was going to go off with Bogdanovich, and Snider took out a gun and killed her, and then killed himself.
The director, Peter Bogdanovich, would later claim that Hugh Hefner had forced himself on Dorothy Stratton when she first became a playmate, which the Playboy publisher always denied. The magazine survived the murder, and it moved on. The fledgling playmates kept on coming. Some were vulnerable runaways, and Hefner offered his mansion as a haven.
So many came from broken families and had been abused by their fathers and stepfathers and uncles.
One such young woman was Susie Krabacker, who, along with her younger brother, had spent time in foster care. On the run from her abusive childhood, she went to LA, where she'd do a nude centerfold in Playboy when she'd just turned 18.
My grandfather, on my father's side, was a pedophile. I was 8 when he was caught. He had been doing it since I was 4, and I was miserable and afraid all the time. So I ran away, and I got a job, and when this opportunity came along, I left everything and moved to LA. I was living at the Playboy mansion. They want you to feel like you're the star, you're very special. It was after the shoot that things started going awry and very, very downhill. I didn't like going to the parties. First of all, I just didn't feel comfortable.
All these men, they were all circling them like sharks. And they could see these girls were out of their element.
Hefner found me outside near the grotto, and he said, "Susie, I hear that you're afraid of me." And I'm like, no, I'm not afraid of you. I'm just, I'm a little bit shy. He's like, "Look," and he took my hand. He's like, "You know you're safe here. Nothing will happen to you here." Then he let go of my hand and kissed me on the top of the forehead like a grandfather would and walked away. And I just remember thinking, oh, thank God. I guess that's the way it began, with most of the girls feeling, like he was more of a grandfather type man, very safe, cared about our well-being, but let me tell you, that was not in any way, shape, or form the truth. I trusted him. He tricked me. He raped me.
Susie says one night another woman at the mansion suggested she go and talk to Hefner about work.
For some reason, it was really important to her that I go to Hef's bedroom right then, right there. I feel like it might have been a setup. He opened the door and he said, "Susie," he was so happy to see me. He said, "Oh, Susie, you're shaking, you're shaking." I said, I know, I'm just nervous. He said, "Here, take this, it'll make you feel better." I hadn't heard of Quaaludes, which is apparently what he used a lot with girls. And I don't know how long I was unconscious when I came to. The sun was coming up, and I saw Hefner, his gaping mouth and his slanted eyes. It was like the whole thing again with my grandfather. And the portrayal of Hefner doing this to me brought back everything. And I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to tell. It didn't occur to me to call the police.
Susie says she confided what had happened to a Playboy employee, but was told not to worry and to go back to work.
"You're okay, don't worry, sweetie, he won't even remember it." I'm like, well, I'm not worried, I'm terrified, I was just raped.
The Playboy employee concerned denied Susie alerted them to any attack.
It was all under wraps. Nobody would talk about it. This is the mindset. He owned those girls in his mind.
I just went back to work, stayed away from him. I had to finish my work and I had to get paid. I needed to move out of that place.
Susie was encouraged to speak out once more after hearing that Hugh Hefner's former girlfriend, Sondra Theodore, was breaking her silence.
One by one, they started coming forward, and I felt really alone when I told. And now they're telling, I'm gonna be there. I'm gonna be there to back this up.
A playmate in 1977, Sondra Theodore's testimony was so significant she was given an entire episode in a major documentary expose in America. She claimed Hefner used a skeleton key to open a locked bedroom door and sexually assault a young woman, expressing anguish and remorse that she was too terrified to intervene.
The minute she said no, and he continued and forced himself on her, I was standing there and I was terrified, but I can't see it. And all these years, I mean, does she think I'm a monster because of it? I'm sorry, I'm sorry I didn't do anything to stop it. And he told me when we were heading back to the master, he said to me, "Well, did they think that they were going to come stay in my house and not sleep with me?"
When I heard that Sondra Theodore had come out about it, I could not let her be alone because I knew that people would look at her and say, "You lived there for 4 years or 5 years and you stayed." Well, she was in love with the man. So there are some kinds of abuses that are psychological as well as physical. And I can see why some victims stay in the situation.
Above all, by the late 70s, the mansion was a honeypot for the Hollywood crowd he so loved. Entertainer Bill Cosby was a regular. Hefner gave him center court at the TV special filmed at the mansion, so everybody understood that he was a special guest.
Hefner was extremely starstruck. He was so in love with Hollywood and stars and celebrities.
VIPs control everything. They were completely untouchable. Whatever they wanted to do, they could do, particularly with the girls. You know, that was what was so upsetting, really, in terms of decency, decent behavior and equality.
You could come to Hefner's place, you could do drugs, and you could have sex, and you didn't have to pay for it.
There were few boundaries, and it's claimed some partygoers came to indulge their worst instincts.
Not everyone was violent, but there were certain men, very famous men, that were really very violent. And that was a lot of pressure for these girls.
Several of the girls that I talked to were obliged to put up with anal sex, which a lot of them didn't like. A lot of them felt debased by it in a way. And one said to me rather movingly, she said, I just felt that wasn't good enough to have proper sex with him, and this was in public. This was in the so-called Wu Grotto.
I just couldn't imagine that men could be aroused while they were being so violent.
Any man in power at that time had the reins, and you couldn't cross them.
Hefner's world was about to get a jolt. It won't be a scandal that stops the party, but a chilling new threat to sexual freedoms. With the bunny logo, Hugh Hefner created one of the most powerful brands of the 20th century, up there with the golden arches of McDonald's and Disney's Mickey Mouse. The bunny outfit has been worn for 60 years now, in and out of Playboy, an iconic symbol of seduction.
I remember in the 70s seeing it on the news and reading about it, and I thought, I haven't seen a bunny. I'd love to put that outfit on.
Hefner first came up with the simple logo for his magazine to represent the powerful but playful instincts of man.
I selected a rabbit symbol to represent the magazine, and that choice was based on the fact that the rabbit had a certain sort of sexy reputation, and was thought of as a rather playful and sexually oriented and prolific animal.
And then he created its female counterpart, women in bunny gear. What's endured to this day is the camaraderie between the bunnies, with reunions still held all over the world. Jackie Nett worked at the Playboy Club in LA for 12 years. Now, 78, she's a renowned yoga teacher. She still has her bunny girl posture and her sense of belonging to the bunny family.
We go to reunions. There's this tightness. It's a sisterhood. We protect each other. We can talk about things that no one else can talk about. Anybody can put on a bunny costume, but if you haven't lived to be a bunny, if you haven't gone through the training, if you hadn't gone through the hurting feet, Playboy gave me confidence, so it was a very strong bonding.
Bunnies were there to serve, but not be seduced. Club members were famously told to look, but not to touch. But now come revelations that for some, the bunny outfit made them a target. Jackie reveals that in the early 70s, she had a terrible experience with a club member.
There was a famous rock band, and I don't use names, that was giving a party. And this man, he was a regular of the Playboy Club. And he invited my roommate, and my roommate said, come and go with me. And I said, okay. And I went, and I was drugged. And I was multiply raped. I felt my body go. And I couldn't find my roommate. And I saw him, and I felt that security, at least I know his face. And that's the face, the first face I remember being on a bathroom floor. And I saw his face, and I would pass out, and I would wake up and see someone else's face, and I would pass out. And I remember getting up and staggering out, and my body was on fire. And I remember seeing the swimming pool, and I stripped and dove into the swimming pool. And I was swimming underwater, I remember, and saying, I could easily just drown here. I can just drown. And a hand pulled me out. The next time I went to work, I told everybody who this person was. And I found out that that was his MO. He would make friends with the younger bunnies and invite them out. And they were afraid to say anything. Well, I wasn't. And when he came in, someone told me he was there, and I got this tulip glass, and I was going to kill him. I didn't care how long I would be in jail. I was going to kill him. And I came charging through, looking for him through the different rooms, and one of the room directors caught me in midair because I was coming at him, and he's doing a bear hug. And I'm screaming, and he's saying, no, it wasn't me, it was me. I know who it was, I can say. I said, it was you. And they drug him out, they took his membership away, and he could not come back in the club. The important thing for this was that Playboy believed me. I was asked, why didn't I report it? It was the early 70s, I was a black Playboy bunny. This was a white man in a suit. Who are they going to believe? Who is going to get the worst in? Me. I didn't want to go through that. It's no different now because the police or the questions will make you feel that you should have shame, and there should not be any shame. The shame should be that this person think they have the right to violate my body. This was not going to define my life. This happened, but it wasn't going to define my life.
And so, despite this, Jackie stayed with the Playboy Club all through the 70s as a bunny trainer, before leaving to get married.
To this day, when I teach, I'm on stage. So that energy of presenting myself is very there. I teach you how to be in your body.
As the 70s ended, there were dozens of bunny clubs across the world, part of Hugh Hefner's empire. And he had the dream of going even further in his crusade to spice up the everyday lives of men.
There was a point when everything was going well for Playboy, when there was a sort of a Playboy realm was envisaged, where the Playboy reader, he would spend his nights in a Playboy club, he'd stay in Playboy hotels. Playboy would cater to his every single need. And that was a sort of fantastical vision that I think some Playboy executives dreamt of.
But as the 70s turned into the 80s, Hefner's clubs fell out of fashion.
They were losing money, the hotels were losing money, the clubs were losing money, the film division was losing money, the video division was losing money, the publishing division was losing money.
But the London casino was still making money, and still run by Victor Lowndes.
We were such a separate entity. I just knew Playboy London. I didn't know anything about the American clubs. We just didn't have that connection. It was very much about Playboy London. So I never met anybody from America. I never went there to see any of the clubs or the mansion. So it wasn't really part of my life.
But distance had weakened the bond between Hefner and this former favoured ally. And in 1981, in a move that rocked Playboy to its core, Victor Lowndes was given notice.
I was working in the disco, and somebody said, have you heard the news? I said, what news? He said, they've fired Victor. What? And I said, well, I can't fire you. He said, they just have.
Hef decided that Victor was more trouble than he was worth and fired him, which actually brought the Playboy empire down to its knees.
The London Playboy Casino ended up losing its license, and in 1982, it closed. Other clubs would soon follow, no longer the draw they once had been. By the mid-80s, every single club had closed across the world. As Hefner approached 60, his party crown had slipped.
Hefner at that time was essentially a recluse. I mean, he never left the house. He was living in the Los Angeles mansion and never left it. His lifestyle was very far from what you would imagine. 2 nights a week he played Monopoly on a specially designed Monopoly board, moving little figurines of themselves. And I was very struck by the fact that girls were allowed to watch the game, or indeed, if they were particularly favoured, move a piece, but were never allowed to play.
In 1985, Hugh Hefner dialed the party down. He suffered a stroke, and fear was in the air.
The mansion basically shut down for a good 10 years because everyone was worried about AIDS.
Hefner will seek safety and shelter in convention with a second marriage. But for the magazine, salvation will come in a new era of celebrity playmates, starry scandals, and supersized paychecks. It's 1989, and Hugh Hefner marries a Playmate of the Year, Kimberly Conrad. He begins to reinvent the Playboy Mansion as a family home with Kimberly and their 2 sons. The grotto goes quiet.
Things were pretty hectic in the 70s. And I would say in the 80s, okay, things started slowing down. And to where you're dealing with the 90s, it was just quiet. If you were looking for excitement, you would say it's boring. There's not a bunch of collateral things going on around you and so forth like there was back in the 70s.
By now, Playboy has many competitors, and circulation's down from a high point of 7 million to 3 million a month. It's been up to its old tricks, publishing nude shots of rising star Madonna without her consent, taken when the singer was just starting out and struggling to make it. But the newly married Hefner is now taking more of a back seat. His daughter, Christy Hefner, is handed the reins of the empire in 1988 and made chairman. And it is she who ushers in a new age of high-profile celebrity cover models.
To do a cover of Playboy was huge. There were so many A-listers. You know, Sharon Stone did it, Naomi Campbell did it, Drew Barrymore did it, Dolly Parton did a cover. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. So to be asked to do the cover of Playboy was huge.
The celebrity playmates have power, they have agents, and they often call the shots.
This is the Playboy shoot that I did in October 1996, $4.95. And what was lovely about this cover, they called me British rock sensation. This was the American cover. My idea was to hold the guitar, so it kind of was glamour, but also show people that I'm, you know, a rock star.
So there was a huge difference between Playmates and the celebrity editorials. The celebrities, we got to pick whichever photographer we wanted. We got to pick how we wanted to pose. We had full copy approval, full picture approval, and we had a big, fat, freaking massive paycheck.
In the 80s, many playmates would appear in Playboy once they turned 18. But the celebrity cover models were often older, only posing when they'd already made it, but didn't necessarily need it.
I was 30 when I did it, so it was in 1996. I'd been offered Playboy many times before that when I was a glamour model, but I don't know, I didn't really want to do it then because I don't think I would have had the authority that I had at 30 to say I want to choose the photographer, I want copy approval on all the pictures, and I want to bring my mum.
When I was 18, no. Doing Playboy would have been wrong for me. It would have been wrong for me, entirely.
The reason I took my mum was because there was one particular Playboy, there was a few of Pamela Anderson, they were gorgeous, but there was one bum shot, and the tripod was very low, and there was too much to be seen. And I didn't want to show too much. And so by having my mum there, she would always look in the lens to see what the picture was like and what was kind of coming through from that picture. There's definitely lines that if you cross it, it can become tacky, and it's a fine line. You have to be very, very careful because it's forever, you know? It's forever, isn't it?
You know, doing the photo shoot, I was actually really uncomfortable. I felt quite vulnerable, and I'm being honest. Some people will say, oh, it's, you know, I feel liberated. That's bullshit. I didn't feel liberated. I did feel uncomfortable. But the shots I was quite proud of. I thought they were beautifully done.
A lot of photographers, they want to further their career, like the girl does during the shoot, further their career. The key is, yes, definitely, to take someone with you that you trust implicitly. Because, well, there's no one better than taking your mum. Unfortunately, there's obviously young girls out there who haven't got a mum, but take someone with you who could tell you the honest truth and make them look down that lens. Let me just see what this looks like.
So this is a business. Okay, yes, the fame was amazing, but I was more led by the business aspect. It's a funny thing for me to say, don't let people just take pictures if you're not in control of it, when most of the money that I made in the early days was from people taking pictures of me. But I was in full control. And by the way, I was one of the first people that owned my own pictures. I owned everything. You've got to control your destiny. You've got to control, this is your body, this is your image. And if you don't control it, it'll be very short-lived and it'll make you feel bad.
Meanwhile, back at the mansion, Hugh Hefner had spent the 90s as a married man. But in '98, a game changer arrives for men of a certain age. America's drug regulator, the FDA, approves a new miracle pill for general distribution. Hugh Hefner embraces it with gusto. After a decade of marriage, his wife Kimberly and their 2 sons move into a mansion next door, and Hefner declares he's a bachelor once more. His age of Viagra has begun, and the parties at the mansion are back on.
Oh, honey, I went to a few of those parties at Playboy. I knew exactly what went on. Holy smokes.
I came out of a marriage in 1998 and discovered that a whole new generation had grown up and was waiting for me to play.
There were some sordid stories going around at that time. I didn't want any rumors coming out that I went to the mansion and all this kind of stuff because I'd heard things.
And it was like this thing, whatever happens at the Playboy Mansion stays at the Playboy Mansion.
Playboy and everything that we're doing is so hot again. And I think that's connected in some curious way to the fact that I'm out and about again. This is a good time to be alive. I'm looking forward to the new millennium with great satisfaction.
He invited me to the mansion, but I didn't feel the need to go to the mansion. I didn't feel the need to meet Hugh Hefner.
It's now 50 years since his debut in what was then groundbreaking TV, appearing as the sexually liberated and sophisticated gent, and the host of Playboy After Dark.
Hello there. Glad you could join us this evening. I'm Hugh Hefner, editor-publisher of Playboy magazine, and your host. And this is Playboy's Penthouse. Come on in and meet some of our guests.
In 2005, as internet porn steals the last of Playboy's real thunder, Hugh Hefner finds a powerful new platform to express his brand of sexual freedom: reality television. Pushing 80, with girlfriends Holly Madison and co on his arm, his new show is a powerful way to recruit young women to his gothic playground.
At one point, the party posse was about 6 or 7. I'm down to 3 again, and 3 very special ladies. Holly, Kendra, and Bridget are keepers. And this is the best time of my life.
I remember there was a reality show where you had 3 women living with him, and I was like, my God, you know, it's just not my scene. Do you know what I mean?
Right from the opening titles, the 30-room manor house is used to lure in the viewers with the promise of access all areas.
Welcome to the Playboy Mansion.
It's interesting that the Girls Next Door came along, you know, in the mid-2000s. It's like a prototype for a certain kind of celebrity reality TV show that we then saw Keeping Up with the Kardashians. It seemed to trade particularly on the fact that Hugh Hefner at this point decided that it was the thing to do was to have multiple girlfriends at the same time.
The series quickly established Holly Madison as Hefner's main co-star, and that his girlfriends had a pecking order.
Hey, baby. Hey, I'm Holly. I'm originally from Alaska, and I live now at the Playboy Mansion. I'm Hef's #1 girlfriend.
And I think that was the real hook for the Girls Next Door. It's like, oh yeah, that's weird and intriguing and wrong, but it's a fascinating basis for a TV show to have, you know, his girlfriends, his crop of girlfriends together in a reality show.
In the first episode comes a startling revelation that one of Hefner's girlfriends had been a fan of Playboy since preschool.
Playboy's something that I always wanted to do. My dad used to get the magazine, and I knew I wasn't supposed to look at them, but they weren't hidden or anything. So when my parents weren't around, I would thumb through it and think, oh my gosh, I want to look just like those girls when I grow up. And I was really little, like probably 4.
The other really weird thing about watching, I think, the kind of weird hook to watch of the Girls Next Door, of course, at this point, Hefner's 80. But he's having these relationships with these girls that are in their early 20s. I'm trying to find a different word from the word creepy, but there is no other word for it. It does come across as spectacularly creepy. The whole story of Playboy is one where, similarly, like, as a kind of patina of glamour, but the reality was absolutely grim.
The Girls Next Door aired in 150 countries and ran for 6 seasons. A global hit. But in 2011, at the age of 85, Hugh Hefner begins to sell off his empire, Playboy Enterprises. While he no longer owns the magazine, he is allowed to stay on living at the Playboy mansion until his death. And in 2012, he'll marry again, for the 3rd time. When Hugh Hefner dies in 2017 at the age of 91, his obituaries reflect his complicated legacy.
The cars, the plane, the clubs, the casinos, it was this whole image that he was selling. And of course he had to have these beautiful women, because they were going to sell this for him. They were all part of the machine.
Some describe him as a pioneer of publishing, a sexual liberator, a great lover of women. Time magazine carries an opinion piece that claims otherwise, by cultural writer Jill Filipovich.
Hugh Hefner was a brilliant businessman and a rank misogynist. Hugh Hefner made a career out of exploiting women and then calling it liberation. I don't think he quite saw women as full human beings.
He died just before the Me Too movement ignited a sea change of holding powerful men to account.
He's dead, and now we hear these horrifying stories.
One of Playboy's VIP regulars did face a reckoning. In 2022, a civil trial jury determined that Bill Cosby abused a minor at Hefner's Playboy mansion at a party in 1975.
Today, our client, Judy Huff, won real change. And she proved with the jury's verdict that Mr. Cosby did sexually assault her when she was a minor, and that he should be held, and was held, accountable for what he did to her.
It's been torture. It has, just to be ripped apart, thrown under the bus, backed over, and this to me is such a big victory. It really is.
People did not believe any of this 40 years ago. They would not believe it. A lot of them don't believe it now. Bill Cosby was America's dad. He was a big comedian. He was Hefner's best friend. The woman was not believed.
The Playboy founder never faced any criminal charges for his alleged behavior, but more than a dozen former Playmates came forward to claim they suffered abuse within the empire.
I know that it happened to a lot of girls because since the A&E special here in the United States, I've gotten to know some of the victims, and their story is so similar to mine.
The fight for Hefner's reputation has led hundreds of ex-employees, girlfriends, bunnies, and Playmates, including his second wife, Kimberly, to sign a public letter defending him, describing him as kind and upstanding. A petition was organized by his son, Cooper, who said all allegations against his late father were just salacious stories.
I would imagine that, like in all of these other cases where you have high-profile men accused of very bad behavior, you're going to have some women who weren't mistreated. But one thing that we know is that men who exploit women, treat them badly, don't necessarily mistreat every single woman they ever meet in their entire lives. You're going to have some women who weren't mistreated. And there's certainly going to be women who come forward and say, Hugh Hefner was great and everything was consensual and I don't feel exploited. But those who didn't are also telling us something really valuable, really important, and that deserves not just a listen, but a folding in to Hefner's legacy.
It's just nobody listened before. So for those who say, well, you got to have all the fun, and then when that went away, you decided to get attention for yourself, this is not the kind of attention any woman wants.
The Hefner family's last connections with Playboy magazine ended in 2018, and the empire is now mainly online. Its new owner, a tech investment fund, has issued a statement in the face of all recent allegations, saying, "We trust and validate women and their stories, and we strongly support the individuals who have come forward," adding that today's Playboy is not Hugh Hefner's Playboy. But years after his death, a huge question remains for the many playmates who stayed at the mansion. What happened to the library of secret filming and photos they believe Hefner took of them?
I was told, literally on camera, that my rape was filmed. And I do not know where that film is. I don't know.
Hefner left a widow, his third wife, Crystal, a playmate who was 60 years his junior. But in death, he was laid to rest in a plot next to his first Playboy fantasy, Marilyn Monroe, whose nude shots featured in the magazine's first edition in 1953 without her consent, and who Hefner never met.
I don't think Marilyn's spirit would be very happy laying next to Hugh Hefner. No, I don't. I really don't.
He wanted to see himself as an innovator, as a sexual liberator, as a reformer, as a major figure. And of course, in the end, he never was.
I have a wonderful life. It happened to me. I just want to say that it happened. I have forgiven him, and you have to forgive, or else they get to keep a part of you.
Why didn't you help these girls? A lot of people say, why didn't you help them? And I've told them, you don't know how powerful he was 40 years ago. He was so powerful. He thought of himself as a Saudi prince. They were his harem. They were his concubines. He was the last emperor of Holmby Hills.
If you or someone you know has been affected by any of the issues raised in tonight's programme, please go to channel5.com/helplines for information and support.